All right, I'd like to call the special town council meeting for January 8th to order. If we could rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, if we could do roll call.
Brian Blazak.
Present.
Paul Panzak.
Here.
Wayne Condina.
Here.
Michael Schilling.
Here.
Gerald Swett.
Present.
David Wesseland.
Present.
Chief Flores and Chief Willman are absent. And Beth Hernandez present.
Okay, item number 4 is public comment. Anyone sign up?
Dennis DeVito.
Good evening. My name is Dennis DeVito, 10341 Silver Maple Drive in St. John. I'd like to propose an update to our ordinance, Chapter 10, Article 1, Section 10.2 to 10.7, affecting particularly Section 10.7. Section 10.7 pertains to ordinance penalty for violation of Section 10.2 to 10.7. That is the penalty for not obtaining a business license for a business located in St. John. This request is the result of a 2019 episode where at a town council meeting, it was noted that a local business owner did not get a valid business license for the current year and at least 3 prior years. It was pointed out at a public meeting that if the maximum penalty for this lack of license would accumulate tens of thousands of dollars based on the ordinance penalty rate of $10 minimum up to a $50 per day fine. The town manager at the time in a subsequent meeting said he waived the fine, something he said was fairly typical in such situations, and as I recall, stated the importance of the license was primarily so police, fire, and first responders had a working knowledge of the business location and of the hazards that may be present. If this scenario is as stated, I'm deeply troubled that it's possible for such a conscious disregard of town ordinances. What is the general public to take away from this? Is it okay to ignore such license requirements for any of our licensees? After all, if it's standard procedure to get a pass if caught, why go through the expense and effort to get one in the first place? While it is best to leave the legalese to the town council, I encourage the penalty for the lack of a business license to remain the same on a per-day basis, but to add a provision where in all cases the minimum fine would be to pay for all past licenses missed, plus a mandatory fine equal to the missed payments. Furthermore, a waiving of the fine or part of the fine for lack of a business license must be made at a public meeting. I hope we have no future instances where our town officials so totally disregard our town ordinances and licensing and that they so easily waive fees and fines. What a disheartening and destructive message such self-serving action sends to all town residents who believe in a reasonable ordinances and do their best to adhere to and voluntarily obtain the necessary licenses required. I do realize this is based on a prior council, and I am bringing this change to this council, hoping that something can be done to alleviate such a callous disregard for our licensing process. Thank you for your considerations.
Thank you, Dennis. Would anyone else like to speak that didn't sign up? Calling twice? Calling 3 times? Okay, then we will close the public comment section. Dennis, in response, and it's not going to be normal to give detailed responses because sometimes some research is going to have to be done. I know we did an ordinance change towards the end of the year, last year, that put a maximum on that penalty. But I think it's an ordinance, and I think the whole business license issue is something that this council is going to look at and come up with some type of a policy in the future. So thank you for your comments. Thank you. All right, item number 5 is new business, community crossing grant bid opening. Do we have any bids to open?
Yes, we did receive 3 bids.
Okay.
Pass them down to Dave.
And I will go ahead with your permission to open the
Please do.
three bids.
Make sure your microphone's on.
Is it on?
Push the button.
Oh, I gotta press it, okay.
Yeah, we're fancy over here.
The first bid is from Walsh and Kelly. Base bid table 1, the bid of $1,051,288.80. Base bid table 2 in the amount of $735,333.65. Bid number 2 is from Reith Riley. Base bid table 1 in the amount of $1,135,967.45. Base bid table 2, $857,055.77. Your third bid is from Gallagher Asphalt. Base bid table 1 in the amount of $1,093,490.97. Base bid table 2 in the amount of $801,468.93. All three bids appear to have all the required documentation. My suggestion is that you would refer these to staff, and I see the way this is listed, but my recommendation would be that you have a motion to accept the bids, refer them to staff, legal, your consultant for a recommendation, and then, I don't know your timing exactly, but my recommendation would be that you award to the lowest and responsive bidder based on that recommendation at your January 22nd meeting.
Yes, that's kind of what we had in mind, the timetable.
Okay.
So,
I just saw the way the motion was listed. I just want to make sure that the award itself would take place on the 22nd. So the motion would be to take the bids under advisement upon review of staff, legal, your consultant, and then to take that recommendation at your January 22nd meeting and award at that point.
okay, do I have a motion? Do I have someone that's wants to make that motion?
I'll make that motion that we take these bids under advisement and provide them for staff and legal for review, and in our January 22nd meeting, that we could award the bid then, so we have time to look over it and make sure everything is right, and we pick out the right bidder.
Okay,
Will's responsible.
I will second that.
okay. So, motion by Wayne Pondinas, second by Mr. Panzik. Is there any discussion on that? And I'll call for the question. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Passes 5-0. Thank you, Mr. Westland. Item number 5B, St. John Police Department Emergency Hire. The police department is requesting a hire to replace Chief Cavitan's position on the staff, so we are one short. So I'm looking for a motion to authorize the police department to execute an emergency hire process to hire an additional officer to fill that vacancy.
So moved.
Have support?
I'll second it.
Moved by Mr. Panzak, support by Mr. Blazek. Comments? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. That passes 5-0. Item number 6 is the payment of the bills. Gentlemen, you see the bill, the list of the docket in front of you for a total of $183,369.09. First of all, do I have a motion to approve that?
I'll make a motion to approve the bills.
Motion by Mr. Pondinas. Is there support for that?
I'll second it.
Second by Mr. Blazak. Questions, comments? Gentlemen? Beth, anything unusual on here?
Nothing's unusual. The majority of these invoices are carryover items from 2019 that just didn't make, I think, it was the December 19th docket. I know that, I think I had two specific questions. One was about Richard Clemens. He basically, it was approved in 2019 that he removed some dead trees from Deodore Street, ash trees. And then there was a question about Phil Garden. And basically what we've done, I don't know, Mike, you might know, or Wayne, for like the last 10 years, when Public Works completes their leaf pickup, they use his site, he lives on 101st and Blaine, and they dump the leaves.
It's a farm field, they
It's a
dump their
farm
leaves
field.
on.
And so that's just, that occurred in 2019, and so we're paying him for that service.
Okay. So we have a motion, we have a second. I'm going to call for the question. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, say nay. Passes 5-0. Thank you. Item number 7, reports and correspondence. Town Council, I will start to my left. Mr. Pondinas.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion. Right now, we don't have anybody signing bills that are $1,500 to $4,000. So somebody has to do that, and I think I'd like to have Margaret do that. This way, we don't have nobody, if they got a bill, she can sign it because she's here all the time. I think that would be a good thing. I think that would be great. In fact, can I make a second motion for payroll? Well, we gotta pass this one first.
One at a
Okay,
time.
all right. So I'd like to keep that on the floor and have Margaret be in charge of that, if the board agrees with that.
Mr. Westland, is that reasonable and is that in line?
It is, as a fiscal body, as a fiscal body, you can appoint, and my understanding is that in the past, you authorized your town manager up to a certain number, whether it was 4,000, 5,000. And as the fiscal body, the legislative body can certainly appoint someone in his stead, since you're currently not acting with the town manager.
Okay.
You would still see those bills on the docket for your final approval. It would just allow Margaret, as the assistant, town manager's administrative assistant, she would just sign the bills so that I can get them on the docket. Otherwise, we're kind of at a standstill.
Okay,
I know when Steve was vacationing, he appointed you authority to do it, so you're somewhat familiar with signing them. So, yeah, I think that would work well for an operational.
okay. Do I have support for that motion?
Second that. Support.
Supported by Mr. Panzik. Any other questions, gentlemen? Then all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, say nay. Motion passes 5-0. You have another motion, Wayne?
And I'd like to do a similar motion for payroll for Public Works and some of the responsibilities for the town manager, since we don't have one. And I would like to have Beth do that one. She's in charge of the money. She knows what's going on with it, and I think that would be a great thing. And it'd be similar to what we just did for Margaret. I think that would be excellent.
Okay. Do I have support for that?
Beth, what,
And what is that, bills?
We should get a second before you guys start discussing that.
before, I didn't want it to move forward until I could understand this a little better, so.
Second gets it on the floor for
Okay,
discussion.
good.
Is there support for that motion?
I'll second it.
Okay. Questions, comments?
Beth, are you ready to take on that extra role at this point?
Well, I sign payroll for my department, and I guess statutorily speaking, I prescribe payroll in the manner in which we're all paid. It's really just signing for Margaret and Jason, and then the Public Works Department. So Bob Davis would still prepare the payroll, give it to my office. I mean, we check it either way, and I would just be signing that.
You
that it's
authorize it.
authorizing payment.
Okay, as an interim, I support that.
It does make some sense. I mean, Beth is, she's responsible for it.
Yes.
So, there's some common sense to that motion.
My question would be, isn't that Bob Davis's responsibility? I would think that
I agree.
the man who runs that department should be responsible for signing off on his own payroll.
I would think that he would do that initially before it even moves to either town manager or Beth. I mean, even if we had a town manager, I would expect someone overseeing the department to oversee their payroll as well.
Well, what about past practice? I don't think he's ever done that, from my knowledge, but I'm not sure.
Well,
So-
maybe,
I think it would be great if you guys had Bob Davis sign it for his own department, and maybe me just sign it because you don't want Margaret signing on her own payroll.
It's my understanding, yes, it's my understanding that he more or less reviewed it and kind of signed off on it and then passed it along to the town manager to be signed for payment. And so therefore, he kind of did it, but he wasn't mandated to do it. Therefore, I think we should put the responsibility for the department head to sign for their own payroll regardless.
I've seen you shaking your head.
Yeah,
Okay,
that
all
sounds
right.
reasonable
Well,
to me.
he's in charge of
Of the people,
staffing,
right.
on the street, overtime, all that, right? So there needs to be a direct correlation
Correlation.
between who's approving the time and who's approving the time sheets. So,
So I think if you guys made the motion that he has to sign it, then I think he would sign it.
It's his department.
Right.
yes.
What's your
He
favor
can
on it?
sign.
You-
Public Works is actually the easiest department because all Public Works employees have an old-fashioned time clock and they clock in and out. So then those time sheets accompany the the summary sheet that comes to my office. So they really have the least amount of leeway because they're actually manually clocking in and out. So my office will check just to make sure that the time clock sheets reflect the summary sheets for payment. So I think it's very reasonable to request Bob Davis to sign off on his own time sheet.
So, Mr. Chairman, I have further discussion. Does Mr. Eberly sign off on building and planning?
So Rick signs for building and planning, Chief Flores signs for the police department, Chief Willman signs for, the fire department, I sign for the clerk treasurer's office, and Steve used to sign for the
Town
town
staff.
manager's office.
Right, so this would be then we would be standardizing practice. So that's a good thing.
I think originally speaking, Steve was the department head for Public Works because you don't have a Public Works director.
Okay.
So that's why Bob didn't sign and Steve did. But Bob would be the highest ranking person in that department. So if you said, at least until you have a new town manager, that he should sign, I think that would be reasonable.
He should take on the responsibility and, you know, regardless of where we go with the position therefore, he should be responsible for the future too.
Okay.
It's his
Anybody else?
department.
So that being said, Wayne, would you like to withdraw your motion?
Technically needs to withdraw.
Or would you like to vote it down?
Well, you could technically have a withdrawal of the second and then a withdrawal of the motion and then a restatement of the motion.
Okay.
So I don't remember who made the second.
Mr. Panzik? No.
No, I did.
Mr. Blazek?
Yes.
Mr. Blazek,
Would you like to withdraw your second?
Yes, I'll withdraw my second.
And would you like to withdraw your motion?
And I'll withdraw the motion, and
You can make a new
I
one.
can make another motion that will appoint Bob Davis to sign off on Public Works payroll. And that would be back to like everybody else's department, and I think that would be great.
Okay, thank you. Wayne, is there
Thank
a
you.
support for that?
Wayne, would you,
Is there support for
consider?
that?
I'll second it.
Yes.
Thank you. Discussion? Go ahead.
You were gonna say
No,
something?
no,
Go
that's,
ahead.
that's it. Keep
You can go.
it with that.
All right.
All right, any other comments or questions?
Who would you like to sign the
So
town manager?
that's what I was about to ask.
Yeah,
We
I-
could do a separate,
Okay,
You can do another
Okay.
motion
All right.
after we vote on this one.
okay.
Yeah, so this is for Public Works. Bob Davis will be the signer then. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, say nay. That passes 5-0.
Wayne, would you like to make a motion regarding the town staff, since this was yours?
All right, so
Beth,
for the town manager, whatever comes up with Dig, then I would like to do the same motion, have Beth take that over.
Correct, so Beth would handle that. So I will second that motion.
Okay. Any comments, any questions? Then I will call for the question. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. That passes 5-0. Anything else, Wayne?
Yeah, I'd like to thank everybody on this board. We've discussed this utility board, and we all agreed that we're saving everybody $6,000 per RAN for this year, because when we looked at it, the previous board that was, our people that were in charge even before the other group that was before us, they decided that they needed $6,000 more, and they approved it for themselves. And the paperwork, from what we gathered, wasn't done right. So, and I think in the first meeting, we eliminated the utility board. So I want to thank you guys that you saved everybody $6,000, the taxpayers $30,000, because there's 5 of us. And this could be taking on, near the end of the year, we can go for that $6,000 and be transparent and truthful with the people. And I think they're going to appreciate that, for everything that you guys did, and I want to thank you for that.
Okay. Anything else?
That's it.
Mr. Schilling?
I have one thing. We're coming up on the census year this year, 2020. In the past census in 2010, the town took on an undertaking of getting out, advertising for it, getting people to get counted. You know, we need to get the count because that's how we get funding for various projects that we do. So I'd like the IT department, along with the clerk's office, and if we can get committee together and see what we're gonna do for advertising and getting the word out to have the people get counted, I think that'd be great. In 2010, we did have 98% reporting, so we wanna
At least hit that.
at least hit that, and I think by advertising for it, that'd be the best way of doing it.
Okay. Anything else?
No, I have nothing else.
Okay. Mr. Panzik?
Yes, we currently have an empty position on our plan commission for a town employee appointment for calendar year 2020, and I would like to nominate Michael Gillette to fill that seat.
There's support for that?
I'll support that second.
Supported by Mr. Blazek. Questions or comments? I'll call for the question. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, say nay. That passes 5-0. Anything else, sir?
No, sir. Thank you.
Mr. Blazek?
I believe everybody's done a fine job tonight, so I'll take a pass.
Okay, and I have nothing else. Clerk Treasurer. Beth.
Just a quick update in the past week. I know you guys had your first meeting on the 1st, but since that time, we have already started our internal controls training. So Tuesday, we had 3 groups of employees come through. It's not the best video ever produced, but it meets the requirements per state board. And so on Tuesday, we had 3 sessions of employees come through to watch the internal controls video. And tomorrow, we have another 3 sessions, 9 a.m., 11 a.m., and 2 p.m., and so that's great. At this time, we distributed the new personnel policy manual, and so employees, as they're watching their training video, are signing off that they're in receipt of their policy manual. And we have set up a training session, kind of a Q&A, for about 2 weeks out. So, well, I should backtrack, basically on the employees' benefit section of the personnel policy, where any employees can kind of, well, I'll go through kind of how it's set up, and then they can ask any questions at that time that, they have on the policy manual. So that's a great step forward, so that employees kind of have a place to come to and ask questions and be involved. Today's meeting with the town council and the safety board was great. I think that was a phenomenal meeting session where the safety board, the town council, myself, and staff members were able to meet each other and kind of collaborate. And same thing last night, I came in to swear in the plan commission members, and I think that training session, and again, the format is wonderful. And I know I mentioned it at our 1 p.m. meeting, but I'm really happy and excited about the direction in just 1 week with the collaboration and, I don't know, just being able to share ideas and work together as one. It's phenomenal. So I just wanted to commend you on setting that direction and path. I think it's great. I do have one request to purchase here that if you guys, somebody would be so inclined to make a motion. It is for the 2020 AIM dues in the amount of $4,871. And basically, the AIM dues provides trainings, or the AIM program, it provides training to appointed and elected officials along with staff and employees throughout the entire year. So if we could have a motion to approve $4,871 paid to AIM, that would be much appreciated.
I'll make that motion to pay $4,871 to AIM. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Panzik. Is there support for that?
I'll second that.
Support by Mr. Schilling. Questions, comments?
That program, that was the one we attended.
Yeah, you
That
guys did the
Mikey's
Munster.
going down to Indy to do his.
Good organization.
Yeah,
It's
It is.
well
very,
worth the,
very enlightening.
it'll pay for itself.
It will. A
Tenfold,
lot of
yeah.
my State Board of Accounts classes come through AIM. A lot of training for you guys through AIM, staff members, Parks Department, Public Works, you name it. So it's great.
Okay, then I'm going to call for the question. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, say nay. Passes 5-0. Anything else, Beth?
What about, I guess your opinion? So you guys appointed Chief Flores. What's your take on, so basically, there's just kind of a draft letter outlining that appointment. Does that need to be approved by the council, or should Jerry just sign it as the executive? It's basically saying, I'll read it, it's no secret, but what his pay would be per the salary ordinance, that he will receive 4 weeks of paid vacation, that his service weapon will just transfer from, it was a Glock 19, that will transfer to his new position. He will be provided a 2018 Dodge Durango, which is his current vehicle, will just transfer with his new position, and he'll continue with his town-issued cell phone. Talks about the fact that he is now moving from a full-time non-exempt employee to a full-time salary exempt employee. So therefore, he will no longer continue accruing compensatory time. So on this pay, he would be paid out his accrued time of 49.5 hours, and that his new salary position takes effect January 3rd. So I don't know if we need
the town council to approve all that, or if not, I don't know. Or it probably wouldn't hurt.
It certainly wouldn't hurt anything. I don't know that it's absolutely legally necessary, because by virtue of the appointment on January 1st, this just reiterates his appointment and the things in the salary ordinance and police SOP that he's entitled to. So this is a reiteration of what's already kind of invested in him as of January 1. But if somebody would like to, it's not going to hurt anything if you were to approve that letter.
I guess a question that came along with that was, as the town council president, can I sign off on these things, or do I need authorization from the town council to sign off on things like this?
Well, this one certainly, this one I think you can certainly sign off on because you took the action, right? So implicitly, the town council gave the authority. As the executive, you have certain authority, although, I mean, if we're talking about, I think it would depend on a position-by-position basis. As the president, you're given certain authority. If a department head were to come to you and say, listen, I want to promote this person, in the absence of a town manager, I think the executive has some authority, but I also don't think it's a bad idea to put it in the minutes that the legislative body agrees that the town, that there's a point person. Because otherwise, the alternative is, anytime anyone's gonna move a position, then you'd have to wait till the council meeting and then present it to the full council. I don't know how much moving you have going on, and I haven't been on the job 8 days, right? So I don't know, how big of an issue this is for you. I would just tell you that in order for expediency and for the running of the organization, there should be some leeway, or you should consider, I don't say should, you should consider some leeway so that people can go about their business. And it makes sense that the president be the one to do that. But if as a group you want every single move to come before the council, that's certainly your prerogative, and as a legislative body, you could vote to do it.
Okay.
Well, there's not much here different other than the 49 hours of comp time. He's got the same gun, the same car, unless he needs more firepower.
Right.
And he's entitled to the comp time, right?
Right.
So, by virtue of your ordinances, so.
Okay. So I guess just to make sure that things are above board, I will entertain a motion to approve the signature and the offer that went out to Police Chief Flores as itemized in the letter that was before you. Do I have a motion for that?
I'll second that.
I need the motion first.
Oh, I thought you made the motion.
No,
No.
I'm looking for a motion.
Oh. I'll make the motion to have Jerry sign off on the promotion of Steve Flores to Chief of Police. And he gets his vehicle, his gun, and paid out his comp time.
There's support for that?
I'll second that. Second that.
Thank you, Mr. Panzik. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, nay. That passes 5-0. And then I guess I would also look for a motion to authorize the president then to sign off on some of the basic moves from department to department or within the departments. I think if that makes sense.
Are we, you're looking for a motion?
Yes.
I'll make a motion in the time that we don't have a town manager to have Jerry sign off on any transfers between departments that we have that come up.
I'll second that.
All right. Any other
May
questions?
I ask a question?
Yes.
Can that also be extended to have him sign for new hires? Because that is something typically the town manager would do as well.
Would you like to amend your motion?
All right, I'll amend the motion to add new hires. And is there anything else before I finish?
As far as personnel goes, the only thing that I can think of is any type of promotion, separation, or demotion would be the things that he would sign, or new hires, or Well, that would be
Job
about it.
transfers.
Job transfers.
Okay.
and acceptance.
So in a sense, you would take care of the
termination
human resources in the short time, well,
I think he's just signing off on it, right? The way I would understand it is it would be recommended by a department head, and then they need that authority from a person.
Right.
all right,
So the motion then will be to authorize the president to sign off on items that would include personnel moves, separations, promotions,
okay.
Transfers.
and transfers,
Hires.
and new hires. That's the motion?
Yep.
Is there support there?
I will second the amended
Any
motion.
other questions or comments? Better not be.
Are you threatening us?
No. I'm begging you.
You might have the gavel, but you don't want to get over the head with it.
All right. I'm going to call for the question. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Opposed, say nay.
Nay.
Passes 4-1. All right. Anything else, Beth?
No, that's it.
Okay, so as far as staff, Chiefs Willman and Flores are not here tonight. I didn't require them to be here since this was a special meeting. Margaret, do you have anything?
Just a quick comment that we do have to work, as far as the census stuff, we do have to work with, I can't read my writing on the last name, so there's a Tom and a Bob, I think it's DeJulio and Volank,
What is it?
on the committee for the census. And
Oh,
there's
yes.
also a Denise
Sulik.
Sulik, with Cherville, who's the coordinator of a lot of that. So there is a committee, but it's actually a multiple community committee or
So
something.
is that Tom DeJulio, Bob Volkman, and Denise Sula?
It is. Thank you.
No problem.
Okay.
Mr. President, too, I forgot to, I received a letter that a resident wanted me to read into the record during public comment, and I forgot to do it.
Okay?
Sorry. Okay. This is from Stacy Spajewski. I'll spell that. That's Spejewski, mother of Molly Lanham, who resides at 10172 Sagebrush Lane. Unfortunately, I am unable to be here this evening, but would like to say a few words to the incoming town council with regards to our complaint voiced against the St. John Police Department on July 11th. On December 31st, I received a copy of the final investigative report prepared by Attorney Azell, and along with Chief Kavitan's letter to Town Council President Mark Barney. After dissecting the report, I can say that I am so very disappointed in the findings and feel that our family and Molly were let down yet again by our town. My family and I were completely honest with the information we shared and the events that took place during and leading up to the time my daughter was missing. Some of the findings in the report are questionable, and it is unclear how Chief Kavitan interpreted most of the findings in the report, and then stated there was no wrongdoing by the St. John Police Department. I don't feel we received an unbiased investigation. Our town boasts that St. John is a wonderful and safe place to live, work, shop, and raise a family. Although this may be true, St. John needs to take it a bit further. To the incoming town council members, new town manager, and new police chief, along with the safety board, I ask you to seriously reevaluate our town procedures for missing person investigations, along with training personnel to be aware of the needs and high emotions involved when dealing with families of missing persons. Empathy and compassion is needed within our police force. If your child, grandchild, or family member were missing, I believe you would want your town to go above and beyond to find your missing loved one, not just follow subpar protocol. It is my opinion improvement is needed in the following areas: enhance missing persons investigative protocol, providing prompt and routine updates to the family. Sensitivity training is needed all around. Support and support services should be provided, especially in an unfortunate outcome as we experienced. Finally, listen and trust the gut feelings of family members regarding the missing persons, and trust the intuition of the mother. I knew my daughter, and I knew her disappearance was totally out of character. My family and I are willing and available to speak with any of you regarding the investigation or proposed changes within our town. Although Chief Kavitin did apologize to us in our attorney's office after the fact, his apology was weak and insincere, especially after he stated to our attorney at the July 11th meeting, "She's already dead," and insisted that Molly was not a resident of St. John, and we would need to see what the facts are. For the record, Molly was a resident of St. John since we moved here in 2006. Thank you.
Mr. President, may I ask one more thing? I'm sorry, but I just got to thinking about it with the signing off on the payment of certain bills or whatever. Typically, since Steve was the department head for Public Works, he would sign off as the department head as well. So I don't know if you guys want to appoint someone to sign that for the department head on those as well. I'm sorry.
Any thoughts, gentlemen?
Well, in Steve's absence, the next highest ranking guy there is Bob Davis, so in a sense, he is the department head.
Okay, I'm fine with that. Anybody else have something different? Bob Davis will sign off on his own payroll for his department.
Just have Beth look over her shoulder, that's all.
Okay.
I will.
Anything else, Margaret? No?
No, sir, thank you.
Okay,
Mr. President, can I make a comment that I missed before?
sure.
Briefly, I was in the St. John Library last week, and I just wanted to, because this is being live streamed, so it's reaching more people than are obviously sitting here, I just wanted to throw this out because of, you know, the way the economy is and the way people are always looking for part-time work. I was relatively amazed. There was a gentleman sitting in the library promoting the census takers, the people that work for the upcoming census. And I asked him just out of curiosity, I said, by the way, what does it pay? And this is something that I want to get out to people so that everybody understands. Anybody can apply for these jobs, part-time, full-time, they'll take whatever they can get. $25 an hour, flat. So if you have or know of people or people out there might need work or might be looking for 10 hours a week or 15 hours a week, this might be, you know, just the opportunity to make a few bucks. And at $25 an hour, that's pretty impressive for, basically, you're gonna be either going door to door or making phone calls or so on and so forth. I think it's well worth noting for people out in the general public to realize 25 bucks an hour is pretty impressive.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Blazek. I would just like to, for those that are watching by live stream, welcome, hello. But we'd also like to encourage you to subscribe. If we get enough subscriptions, it's gonna help our the link to be a little bit easier accessible. So I would encourage those that are out there to subscribe to our live stream link. I will go one more time. Anybody else have any other comments before we're finished? Mr. Schilling, Mr. Panz, Mr. Pondinas? Then I will, Beth, anything?
No.
Okay, then I will look for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Support?
I'll second that.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, say nay.